All right. Wow. A little bit of a late start here. A couple of minutes. Been wow, man. I'll tell you, it's been busy. And I know that a few people are going to get in really quickly here within the next 5 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do is just take care of some stuff. What happened here? I just got back from Salt Lake City a little bit ago and didn't do the radio show. And then I got a message from somebody who said in Salt Lake, "Hey, the person you were with, they left their keys. So the person the keys needs these keys, I think, for business for what he does tonight. I don't know. It's weird." And then I had to uh, one of my daughters wrecked a car, and so we have a spare. It's been sitting, just an old thing. Got to decided what to do with it, and then so I had to go put oil in it, put air in it, put water in it, so she could use it. Just got back. Then I get the message about the keys, and I got the picture. So that's what happened. For those of you who want to know what starting late is and why, not a big a deal. So I'm just gonna kind of wait until a few people get in, and if they don't, well then that'll be fine. What I'm gonna do is talk about a few things. I've been thinking about some stuff dealing with atheism and some ideas. So we'll see what happens. So I think what I'm gonna do is start talking about this anyway because we'll see what happens. What we've been doing here on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. is people have just been coming on, and hey, there you go. There's one person. People have been coming
Hello.
and blabbing about all kinds of stuff. Hey, what's your name?
This is Matt Ritzenthaler and Marlene.
Oh, that's right, from last week. Matt and Marlene, how are you doing?
Hi, doing all right? I'm glad to
Good.
see you here. We haven't been able to get your radio show the last couple of days.
Well, I don't know why. I was on here. Well, yesterday I was on, but I didn't have my video equipment with me set up, so I was only on the radio. I wasn't on Facebook, and I wasn't
Yeah.
on other thing because I was at a different location. My daughter had surgery out of
Oh,
state, so I had to be there with her. Just got back a
okay.
couple of hours ago, and didn't do the radio show today, so I should be on there tomorrow. Back to normal.
Okay. Am I sounding okay tonight? I'm on the iPad again.
Yeah, yeah, you sound fine. Got quite an interesting view. You might want to bring it up so that it's at least it's horizontal to your face. That's always good. A lot of people they'll hold it down like this, and then we're looking up into their nostrils, and they don't
Okay.
realize that that's what we're seeing. So no big deal.
Good evening.
All right, let's see. Yeah,
I,
and
I
what? I'm
just
sorry.
because I know Smiley Smiles on there. I don't know her real name on this, but
Yeah,
she
she
was
was.
we're on the radio.
Yeah,
That
she was asking if I was going to be there or here tonight. So I said yeah, and I got just a little bit behind schedule. I got a lot of things I'm doing. My wife's health is pretty bad, so all the slack is going to be taken up by me. And
yeah,
yeah, let's just say that you know how it is.
we're the ones that were the caregivers to Marlene's mom, if you remember that.
Yeah, yeah, and it takes its toll on you too when you have 18 things to do, and people around you don't seem to help too much, and they make more problems than they solve. Let's just say. So anyway, we got Solo de Deo Gloria in watching. We've got you in here participating, so we can have a nice conversation about whatever. Talk about various things. I was thinking about talking about atheism. I've been doing a lot of studies in it lately, or a lot of interaction with atheists. We could talk about that if you want, or if you got a question, we could talk about what you want to talk about. And I got a lot of things happening, so I'm only going to be on for an hour tops tonight, and make sure that my other daughter gets off okay, and check my wife again, and stuff like that. It's been hectic. So
Well, that's all right. You're a busy man.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm very busy, and yeah, I need a vacation. But the problem is, I can't take a vacation. Don't have the money to take a vacation, and I couldn't go anyway because my wife needs to be taken care of, and she can't go on vacation. So that's what it is. That's what it is.
All right.
So where do you live? What state do you live in?
We're in Florida, about
Oh,
40
that's right.
west of Tampa.
That's right. Florida. I'm here in Idaho. Took a brisk walk about 15 minutes. Oh, about an hour ago. I just took a walk around the block. I just had to get out and get some fresh air and stuff. Whenever we have people over, family over, bang, the place becomes a mess. And I cleaned up the kitchen, And then I go back in there after just getting oil in somebody else's car and doing all that, and they're leaving dishes out. I'm like, excuse me. And so, okay. Anyway, so I'm done whining. So we got 4 people watching on. I tell you what, if you guys want to participate, obviously the participation link, I put it in the Patreon video. So we had one to watch, one to participate. So you've already got that link for participation. But if you don't want to participate, you don't have the equipment, you don't have audio, you don't have a video camera that you can, participate in, then you know what, just type some questions or some comments in to the chat like this. Just, I'm typing in the word hello, and you guys, because now we got 5 watching, so now you can just type in something, and I can interact with what you got. So there you go. All right. So you got anything you want to ask? Anything you want to run by me or anything?
Working through Leviticus now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd asked you one time before about what your favorite part of it was. And,
Leviticus?
Yeah.
17 is pretty good. I like Leviticus 17.
Okay.
Yeah, because it talks about the blood sacrifice, helps refute the Roman Catholic position, talks about the necessity of atonement, things like that. So I like that. Let me ask you, is my video fine on your tablet? It is?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because I'm seeing the feedback and it looks all fuzzy and not too good on my other monitor, which is fine, no big deal. Let's see if I go to a lower res monitor, what happens. I think it's the same thing. Yep. Well, anyway, you got a comment or question, or you want to get into something? You've been studying Leviticus. Anything interesting you found?
If you wanted to go ahead with the atheism chat and get into that, I didn't direct questions. No.
Okay. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work. Well, not a lot, but I'm always interacting with atheists, and what I'd like to do with various groups is interact with them sufficiently so that it's kind of hard to describe. Things starts manifesting. What I mean by that is your brain starts going, wait a minute, there's something here. And then the more you get into it, the more you go, wait a minute, yeah, that's right. That's what they're talking about. And so as I talk, I think about atheists and stuff, it is becoming more and more apparent to me that they purposely really truthfully reject God and look for whatever justification they can in order to deny him. They're inconsistent in their thinking. They're inconsistent in their logic. They're highly subjective. Hi, Melissa. Highly subjective in their opinions, and they don't want to. They don't want to really interact about truth issues. And even then, when I do bring truth issues to them to bear and demonstrate to them that their thinking is incorrect, they refuse to believe the truth. And so when I'm thinking about this, and I know you guys already know this, but what is the real reason? What is the real reason that they do that? And as I start thinking, I always want to know, why does someone think the way they do? Why does someone believe the way they do? Why does someone, what's in them, that the foundation that they have, that their answers, their questions, their objections starts manifesting and popping out? And well, obviously, biblically, we can understand the idea of total depravity, that they are slaves of sin, haters of God, can't do anything that's good. And that's the case. And when I reason with them, it's like throwing mud, against a wall. It's just not gonna stick. Well, maybe a little bit, then it falls off. But they just want to reject God, and I believe it's because they want to be in control themselves. I think that's what it comes down to. They ultimately want their own control. They don't want God in control. They want themselves to be the final arbiters of truth. It's a God complex thing that they have about themselves. And God gets in the way. The true God gets in the way of their little godness. That's what I'm thinking. God complex. Have I been doing the radio show? Yes. I did it live yesterday. I was in Salt Lake City. My daughter had surgery. I had to go out of state with her and help get that taken care of. And so I didn't have all my video equipment set up properly, and I couldn't do the YouTube and the Facebook yesterday. And today I was traveling, so I should be back to normal by tomorrow. Okay, now go ahead.
I was worried about you. I was like wondering, like, if did he die or something? I was like, didn't know what happened to you.
Just busy driving.
Yeah.
5-6 hours one way, sleeping in a cold room, which was kind of was fine. Made me sleep better, cuddling under the covers and things like that, and great people that I was staying with, and then driving
Good
back.
stuff. Good
And,
stuff.
Yeah. So that's all.
I was
That's
worried
all.
you were hacked. That you had said something about you had the wires on your internet cut or whatever one time and stuff.
Yeah.
You weren't hacked and you were having trouble getting on the internet.
No, it wasn't that one this time. It's just I was out of town, and I don't want really people to know I'm out of town. I don't want people to, because let's just say I've had some issues and problems in the past where unbelievers have, let's just say, manifested themselves in some bad ways, and so I have to guard myself, my house, and things like that. What I do for a living is I've received many threats and attempts to infiltrate my life and things like that. So I don't let it out generally. And but we had a lot of people here, let's just say yesterday. So I was able to say over the radio, "Hey, I'm out of state," which is fine because we had a lot of people at the house. Anyway, that's what it is. It's just part and parcel for what I do. I get persecuted. I get attacked. There's spiritual attack. Right now, in all seriousness, I'm not going to say what the details are, but let's just say I'm under more attack right now, and the pressure has been on me right now more than has happened in, I can't remember when the last time I've been under this much attack and this much pressure. I can't remember what year. It's been years. So it's really something. And when I tell people that I trust everything that's going on, they can't believe it. And so it's what it is. It's what it is. Okay. Well, anyway, hey, look, we got somebody on Patreon who said, "Hello, Brother Matt. What is the difference between called? Let's see. Between Matthew 22:14 and the called in Romans 8:28. Well, let me get my Bible program up. I had to reboot my computer. I'll take a look. Yet they still are not in control. Yeah, that's right. That you're referring to the atheist issues. Hey, Jason, how are you? I'm quitting in 45 minutes because I'm exhausted.
Okay, I'm doing good. Thanks for having the Patreon this evening. I know you got a lot on your plate.
Yeah, yes, I do. Oh man, even the past hour I had to go. One of my daughters wrecked her car a while back, and we have a spare car kind of sitting around. So I had to, we'll go put air in the tire. I can't because that's my did too much, and I go, I'll do it. So I go to do it, and then I'm driving there, and the oil gauge is like, oh man, the oil's, and then the water, oh man. So then I had to go get oil, and I had to get water, then I had to put it in, and get in there, get up here, and right when I'm getting up here, somebody texts me and says, "Hey, you left the keys at a house in the interstate." Like, oh man. So yeah, it's just what it is. Okay, let's see. Romans, let's see, Matthew 22:14, when you call it, I think that's what that is. Let's see. And that many are called and few are chosen. The word there is kletos for called. And 8:28 of Romans. And it's kletos there also. Okay, many are called, but few are chosen in Matthew 22:14. And the word chosen is eklektos. So there's a generic calling that goes out, but not everybody is chosen by God for salvation or whatever it is that he might be doing. And so that's basically what it is in Matthew 22:11. Many are called, but only few are chosen by God. And God causes all things to work together for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. And that called, let me do something here. I'm going to check on something. To those toys who are usin called clay toys, the called. Let me check. I'm looking for a certain something, and then I'll make a comment about it if it's there or not there. We'll see how other translations render it. Come on, you get in there. There we go. It just says who are called, and who are called. Yeah, been called. Okay, not the called. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, some people. I've heard people talk about it, that there's a way that it could be translated as the called, but I just checked some translations and not the case. But anyway, nevertheless, so many are called, but few are chosen. That called is just a proclamation to all people, and but those who are called according to his purpose is a narrower sense. So words mean what they mean in context, and Matthew 22:14, it looks like that calling is just simply a generic calling of proclamation to all kind of people. And in Romans 8:28, those were called according to his purpose. And then we see that it has deals with the purpose of salvation. And so that's what seems to be the difference in them. Okay, hope that helps. Any comments or questions from anybody? Go ahead.
I have some questions, but I'll just
Sure.
do one at a time. One is, say someone is like wanting to make a decision. Someone was asking something that in another group, they're asking, is it all right for them to cast lots? Like, say they want to, like, I guess dice or whatever they call it. What would you call it?
In order to find out God's will. And that's because Matthias, they've chose Matthias by casting lots in the New Testament. So that some people think that that was what they're supposed to do. And we don't know if that was the right thing that they did, but God seemed to use it. But part of the discussion is they cast lots, but that looks like it was an Old Testament system.
Mm-hmm.
And the New Testament system was begun with the death of Christ. So after Jesus ascended, they did lots and Matthias was chosen. But you don't hear anything about Matthias, period, after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so some theologians have said that it might be that they did it wrong, that they weren't supposed to do it with the Old Testament kind of covenantal system. And that God himself chose who the replacement was going to be for Judas, and that was Paul. And that God elected, God did that, God chose. So that's what seems to be the case in the Old Testament. In that context. So should someone now take lots, dice, and try and find the will of God in that sentence, that context? I'd say no. What you do is you pray, you read the Word of God, and you ask for God to open doors, to close doors. You move forward, but don't cast lots in order to find out what it is that God wants you to do, because it's just not an issue that God uses and institutes in the New Testament. And even though it appears with the case of Matthias, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was the right thing to do, because Matthias was picked, but then that's it. He's
they
nothing.
don't say anything. Yeah.
So that's
anybody
why
else got questions? I got other questions, but I don't know if anybody else got questions right now.
Go ahead. Unless somebody does, but go ahead.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Luke 4:17 through 21.
Wow, Luke 4:17.
And I'm trying to open it up.
Open up. Oh yeah, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He's anointed me to preach the gospel of the poor, recovery, and to proclaim the favorable year of the Lord. Today the Scripture has been fulfilled. Okay, what about it?
Okay, at the last verse, 21, he began by saying to them, "Today the Scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." Mm-hmm. Could you? I struggle with hermeneutics quite a bit. I don't want to read into the text, but am I correct in reading into that Jesus is proclaiming the Spirit of the Lord is on him and he is the Christ?
Yes, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Now, if we were to go and look at where that is, out of Isaiah 61, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me. I'm reading out of Isaiah 61, because the Lord has anointed me, okay, to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, or to set those free who are oppressed, and freedom to the prisoners, to proclaim the favorable year of the Lord. And notice he stops right there. And the day of vengeance of our God is what it says in Isaiah 61, right after that, as it continues, to comfort all who mourn, to grant those who mourn in Zion. But it says to proclaim the favorable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God. Well, Jesus stopped at the beginning of verse 2, and he stopped when it says, and the day of vengeance of our God. So what I believe about that is that what he was doing is saying that this part of the scriptures is about Jesus in that day, and that the day of vengeance of God is also about him, but that's in the future because Jesus didn't come for that. But when he comes again, that'll be the vengeance. That's what I believe will be there. But anyway, so yeah, he's the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and that's what he's talking about. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I thought I was, I took in a hermeneutics class at church.
Yeah.
We had to study it, and they wanted a sentence for, that you could tell a 10-year-old and he would understand. And most people were saying, well, Jesus taught in the temple, or Jesus read a scroll in the temple.
A sentence about what?
A sentence about that verse, about what that verse means, right? Well, I had been practicing the hermeneutic method, right, on it, and I read it 10 times, and then it hit me. I was like, oh, Jesus is declaring himself God there, Messiah.
Yeah, except when you look in the Hebrew, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring about good news. So, to proclaim the favorable year of the Lord, and the word Lord there is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or the Tetragrammaton. But the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. That is not in the Hebrew, in Isaiah 61. It's not Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. It's just not. But it's Adonai. It looks like it's Adonai. Adonai, yeah. And so, but anyway, you just summarize it by just simply saying Jesus was talking about the Old Testament, the things about him in the Old Testament, about what he came to do. That's all it is.
Okay.
Not a big deal. Okay. All right. Well, anybody else got any comments or questions? Josh Andriopoulos. O-U-S. That's a Greek ending of verbs, Andriopoulos. Anyway, nouns. Sorry, I'm tired. So, comments or questions? Come on, guys.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Is the there's Romans 13 to talk about the government. Is CIA a valid office under that? Because the way they go out to other countries and do spying and stuff like that for the United States.
Well, we talked in Romans 13 about this. Our submission to the government is talking about those things that the government will require of us, and as long as they're not against Scripture, then we, shouldn't have any problem submitting to those things. The CIA goes outside of our boundaries and works.
Yeah, it shoot people and kills them.
Yeah, and let's just say, in the Old Testament, these kinds of things were kind of like that done, in that there were wars and there were people killing others, and in order to develop a principle about what is and is not to be done and permissible, at least in the Old Testament context, we have to analyze basically every single one of those kinds of occurrences and see if we could develop a pattern out of them. Just to answer the question, is it admissible just to do that kind of a thing in a war situation? And if that's the case, well, then is it a war situation? Well, are we at war now? In one sense, yes. One sense, no. So this becomes a difficult thing to answer easily, because there are certain things that there are. We don't have wars like we did back then. I mean, my dad told me before he passed away, World War II, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, that was it. People were just lying about their age to get into the service to go fight. There were people who wore different uniforms. You knew who the enemy was, and there were boundaries. But now there aren't. With the Muslims and what they're doing, you don't know who's the enemy and who isn't, and yet they've declared war on us, and many Islamic groups and stuff have. So, are we at war with them? Well, yeah, in that sense. So then, what do? They go out and fight. So you see, it is not an easy thing to answer.
Yeah,
it is not easy.
I really don't think any of the wars that we had are what people call a just war. Like even the Civil Wars, like one brother against brother, or the independence.
How about the World War II? Because they attacked us, and so we were in a thing of self-defense, and that does seem to be biblically warranted. We have the right of self-protection. So they came to attack our country. We had that right to do that.
Well, didn't realize to me I heard like conspiracy. I don't know if it's true, but that people set up these wars to be done that way. It's so it looks like that they were against us, but it was really.
Well, who knows?
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know what the situation is about that. But for the facts that we do have.
Yeah.
Japan did attack us, not without provocation. There was some things we were doing to them apparently, and economically. But why are we doing it? I'm not a historian.
Yeah.
But they did attack, and they killed a lot of people and sank ships. So that was it.
Yeah, that's obviously they did.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I have a question about have you heard about how they want to have women drafted?
Yeah. What do you do about that?
Yeah, I want to know if for me, I probably wouldn't get it because I'm mentally ill. But if they did try to get me, would it be all right to say I don't think this is a just war and I can't fight for it? I don't know if they allow me.
There are ways you can do that, but you have to be conscious of objector ahead of time. It has to be all set up in a group, But just to say it, but I was very close to being drafted for Vietnam. Very close. Didn't though.
Yeah, my dad was in it, but he wasn't. I don't think he was drafted. I think he just went it.
Yeah, some people, they did that on purpose so they could get into the branch in the area that they wanted to instead of being sent overseas to fight. So my dad was in Vietnam, and he was in actually World War II. He was in Korea. He was in Vietnam. But should women be drafted? Well, part of me says yes, and part of me says no. Because there's pros and cons. I mean, in Israel, women serve in the military. A lot of countries, women serve in the military. Should we say no because they're women? Well, yes and no.
Todd Friel said. I think he said that. I don't know if it was him exactly, but I know somebody said they're saying that women should be the ones being taken care of and not having to go out and fight a war.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was going to mention is that what we men do is we're the protectors of the women. That's how it's supposed to be. But on the other hand, women are perfectly capable of serving in the military. But I would say that they could be drafted, but not for combat. I'd say that if they could be drafted under the right circumstances, maybe the rules for them would be a lot less, and they could be drafted for behind the scenes support. Then I could see that. When I was in Israel 4 years ago or so, went outside the Holocaust Museum, and guys and girls, in their 20s, military fatigues. They were sitting around, and I ended up talking to them. They spoke English, and they take Krav Maga and everything. I said, "Yeah, I'm taking Krav Maga," and They're women. They were drafted, and they said everything was fine, and they fought. They fought in combat. Well, does that make it right? I don't know. I mean, on one hand, here's another thing. I've talked to a lot of men. I think it depends on the women, though, because if I'm going to be in a foxhole with a woman, I'm going to be wanting to protect her.
Yeah.
Unless she has proven herself so capable that I don't have to worry about her, because a guy is already physically able to do a lot more than a woman, just right there on the average. But some women are quite a bit stronger than some men. So it just kind of depends.
My sister's strong. It's physically more, a little bit more. Do they draft people that have mental illness? Because I don't want to go no more.
Draft people that what?
Have mental illness.
What, you do?
Yeah, I have schizophrenia and OCD.
Yeah, you would never. Yeah, you'd never get in.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And if I would have been drafted, I would not have been able to make or survive basic training or boot camp because of my back.
Condition? Oh,
no. I have the fourth lumbar vertebra that's deformed, and so it's just born with it, and so I'm not able to stand for long periods of time without back pain, and I can't do more than 15 or 20 sit-ups, and then I stop breathing. My back seizes up because of it. Well, it's not going to take very long for them to figure out this guy can't handle this area.
Basic training.
Yeah. It's just what it is. It's why I shift. You see me shift? Because I shift because of my back.
Yeah.
I'm just used to it.
Yeah, I heard that before you talk about.
Yeah. That's what it is. Fourth lumbar vertebra is deformed. And so we found out about it when I was 19.
I have a drop shoulder. One it goes down a little bit more than another.
Well, just get a pad, put it up there on the other side. There you go.
It doesn't really affect me that much, except for when I used to wear like backpacks.
Okay, well, there you go.
Well, anybody else got questions or comments?
I do, Matt. Can you give me a little bit more context on Colossians 2:8?
Oh, philosophy.
Right.
So which particular aspect of it? The philosophy issue?
Well, it kind of, I don't want to go off track, but it kind of seems like I've seen this in like some of the atheism debates, like this being portrayed, like, this describing it, that, spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, but not after Christ. Yeah, I mean, to a little bit on the philosophy side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, philosophy can be used well, and it can be used badly. And so see that no one takes you captive through philosophy. There's a lot of, let me give an example of something, and to give a little bit of background, and you'll see what I mean. So I use the transcendental argument for God's existence, and the atheists don't like it. There's a famous debate that happened many years ago. Gordon Stein and Greg Bahnsen. Greg Bahnsen was a Christian philosopher, and he destroyed Stein using the transcendental argument. And so there, I've adopted it from out of him, and so I'm known for that. Okay, so the transcendental argument basically says that the laws of logic, this is the basic form, the laws of logic can only be accounted for by presupposing the Christian God. All right, because the laws of logic are not physical, they're not material, they're not conventions in that they're inventions of the human mind, they're not properties of the universe and things like that. The only way to explain them is to say that they're part of the mind of God, and he's everywhere, and so therefore they're absolute and everywhere and things like that. All right. So I had about 2 months ago or so, I had some atheists I was talking to on Discord on a certain area, and they said that tag had been refuted. No, it's not been refuted, but they were saying this. They said, look, this is what they did. They said, we have to understand what propositions are, and they introduced this term proposition. took me a while to figure out what they were talking about. And so they said a proposition. Let me see if I can find my notes on this. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. And so what they were saying was, let's see. Oh, I didn't put it in this one. They were saying that propositions are these truth bearers of attitudes of something and other, blah, blah, blah. It was really weird the way they were saying it. And what they were trying to do was say that that there was another way to explain the universal absolute laws of logic, and saying that the laws of logic that we speak, what they are actually descriptions of propositions, and propositions are truth bearers, but no one knows what the propositions are. So, well, if they don't know what they are, I'm asking questions. Then how do you know that they can account for the laws of logic? Because of the definition of what they are. And so they just kept doing this kind of a philosophy game. And I didn't understand what they were getting at. And so, they're saying, hey, Matt Slick is an idiot. Matt Slick doesn't know this. It's whatever, stupid stuff. And so I went and did some research on this aspect of, here we go. Let's see. Maybe this is it. Here we go. Found it. And I'll give the definition when this thing opens up. Propositions. Okay, so here we go. They are the shareable objects of the attitudes and the primary bearers of truth and falsity. And what the heck does that mean? But I did some research on this and found out that there are three main teachers of these propositions, and they contradict each other. Now, why am I bringing this up? So what vain philosophy is what these guys did. They brought up something that I wasn't familiar with in some esoteric philosophical argument. Then they ran it by me in order to confuse me, in order to try and show that the tag argument was invalid. And they most probably knew that there were different views of propositions and that no one knows what it really is, and they're contradictory views. But I'm pretty sure they knew all that, and they purposely misrepresented the facts in order to try and make me look bad, and trying to get others to see that the tag argument is refuted. This is an example of vain philosophy. People can use philosophy in a way that is destructive without being truthful. And so that's an example. And then when you do more homework, you find out, oh, that's what they're talking about. And they were basically misrepresenting the total things. And then I've got a bunch of questions and stuff out of it next. I did research, and now I'm ready for them, and they don't show up anymore. So vain philosophy is something that happens all the time. And so Paul's warning against, basically being captive through philosophy. He doesn't say don't use it. And he says, notice he equates it philosophy and empty deception. So people say, well, you can't use any philosophy, and Christians are not supposed to study philosophy at all then. Well, that's not the case. And let's see, it's in, I think it's in Acts 17. Let's see if we can do it this way. Let's see, Colossians 2:8. You can find it where it is in Acts 17:18. And some of the Paul says, and also some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers were conversing with him. Some were saying, what would this idle babbler wish to say? Others said, he seems to be a proclaimer of strange deities because he's preaching Jesus and stuff. And I'm looking for something else that he actually quotes. Paul actually quoted, I got it someplace on my website. Anyway, the point is, he quoted pagan philosophers, Epimenides, Erastus. He quoted them. And he used philosophy in order to further the gospel. So philosophy is okay to use when it's done properly, because ultimately philosophy is based on logic, and logic comes from the mind of God. So good philosophy reflects God, and bad reflects human thinking, that kind of thing. That helps any.
And then when it references the tradition of men, What
all of those.
what is it describing there as being the tradition of men besides, just sinfulness or deceitfulness or whatever?
I don't know what those specific traditions might have been at that time, but there were. We could probably look at various ideologies that were obtained, in varying
Oh, okay.
in the times, and those general, ideas of traditions of men, things like that. Generally speaking, is probably what they were talking about. That's all.
Okay.
Whatever they might be. Whew. All right. So now what?
I have a question.
Sure.
Another one about the government.
What?
Another one about the government. Oh,
Sure.
I was thinking about like this might happen to us next because when they put I think it was Japanese, they put them in internment camps. Was
Yeah.
that right for them to do, or is that like enslavement or?
Well, we look back on it now and we say no, it was wrong.
Oh,
But I talked to my mom and dad about it because my dad served in World War II, and so anyway, they said that they didn't know who they could trust, and that
yeah.
part of the reason that the Japanese were interred, part of the reason, which is never mentioned, was to protect them. Because a lot of them were just being beat up. Their businesses were being vandalized because they're Japanese. Not that it was right for them to do that, just the government sequestered them in part to protect them, but also in part, they didn't know who they could trust.
Yeah, I thought it might be spies.
Right. So in Bellflower, where I used to live when I was very young.
I used to live in Bellflower. About
what's that?
27 years of my life. Bellflower.
Wow. Bellflower, really?
Yeah.
Well, where the 91 and Clark Street are, there's a big grocery store in the corner. I think it's Rita Clark. I don't know if you remember what that is, but it's just south of the 91 freeway. And anyway, that grocery store is a big one, 2-story, something like that, was owned by Japanese. And so when the war started, the Japanese couldn't run it because, well, they're being interred. So what they did was they sold it to some Caucasian people for like nothing. They just a little bit of money.
Wow.
So what happened was when the Japanese were released at the end of the war, they came back. The people who owned that store then sold it back to them for the same amount of money. Just said, here you go. Yeah, because they gave their word that they would do that to them. So there's good people all around, and then that's the right thing to do. That's what I would have done if I'd given my word. That's it. You come back, $100. Give me $100, and it's back to you. Even though they were making good money. So that's what it is. So those kind of things, that kind of stuff happens. Anyway.
I'm trying to think where that was. I'm not good with directions. I know there was this one called Lucky, and then it used to be called Gemco. But that's probably somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I don't know which ones they are, but now. But, whatever.
Oh, it got changed to Stater Brothers.
What's that?
Got changed to Stater Brothers, I think.
Might have been. Yeah. I tried to live there when I was, I don't know, 9, 10, 11. Can't remember.
Oh, I don't think it was that far back. That's when I lived there.
Okay.
I'm born 1980.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, anybody got any questions, comments? Come on.
You should look on the YouTube channel.
Okay, let's check it out. Go back over there. Okay, good. We got people in there. Oh, good. Tulip, Doctors of Grace on Tuesday night. What is going on in the world? This is our Patreon thing, and that's what that is. We're doing. So this. You know what? I didn't make this unlisted. Now anybody can see it.
Oh.
I'm quitting in 15 minutes, though, just so people know at the top of the hour, because I was so rushed. But that's all right, for now. And haven't you seen it breathe down the neck of a mid-axe dispensationalist in a while? I got the popcorn ready. Well, if they're around. Combat stealing land everything is mind, including physical. Everything is mind, including physical. Okay. Can you weigh the mind? No. Can you weigh the physical? Yes. I don't see how that works, but you know. Anyway.
Category error.
So. Anyway. Do you know Glenn Clary? I don't know who Glenn Clary is. He's by that name, or maybe he knows me. We've talked before and I don't remember. But yeah, I don't remember. So.
Say there's a lot of people you talk to.
I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people. Yeah. And so I forget who a lot of people are. Unfortunately, not trying to be mean or rude. It's just, who are you? I don't know. I don't remember. So we do this on Tuesday nights, and Patreon. Normally, what I'll do on Tuesday nights is sorry, my bad today, is I will do an unlisted video, and so no one else can see it except the Patreon members. We come in here, we just talk privately for an hour or so. OPC Church. Okay, good. Matt, is the abortion survivors thing true? I don't know what that is. Obviously, atheists say it's fake news. I don't know what it is, so I can't comment. So, but anyway, so this is what I do on Tuesday nights. We have this small group, and if you guys want to join it, then you'll have to go here.
The
I think it's
Patreon.
That's it. Yeah.
You only have to pay like $1 per show.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, and that's so it helps me pay the bills, and plus, you know, it's a lighter conversation. It's nice. So it's one of the things we're trying to do because I've not had a raise in ministry in 5 or 6 years, and I've had 2 pay reductions in those years. So with my wife's medical bills going through the roof and stuff happening, I'm just trying to make ends meet, and nothing wrong with that. And you know, Patreon was something I did years ago, and hey, we're doing this, and that's what it is. So it's nice, and it's kind of nice too, because we get to have a more intimate kind of a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. But I've been very busy, so I'm going to quit at the top of the hour in 10 minutes. Today's been a rough day, and please pray for my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found out some more health stuff, and it's even worse. So that's what it is. That's what it is.
I saw the good news that she got to get an RV.
Yeah, if we can use it. Her health is bad. It's bad. So, yeah, it's what it is. But I'm just trying to do whatever I can to pull things together for her and help her out. That's all I can do, you know. That's it. So anyway, any comments or questions?
Hey, Matt, I ran across an article, and it was titled, "Does God Believe in Gun Control?"
Does God believe in gun control?
Yeah, and it was kind of the Christian perspective on concealed carry, people defending themselves and everything.
And what did the guy conclude?
That it was biblical, that, you know, we have a right for self-defense. Right?
Oh, he probably used that thing that said Jesus told them to buy a sword.
Yeah, Luke 22:36. Yeah.
No, it's been a while since I read it, but it didn't really go to that. It used some other verses, which I can't remember, but you know, the whole self-defense thing kind of seems to come up every now and then, especially in the state, you know, in California where I live, and it's you know, beyond ridiculous. But you know, and I hear a lot of people who aren't Christian kind of, you know, criticize, you know, Christians. Well, you know, what do you guys need, you know, to defend yourselves against, you know? But
atheists.
Right. But you know, it just, you know, is the right of self-defense absolute within the Bible?
Well, don't you mean by absolute. So that just, but let me just say, we have the right to defend ourselves,
Right.
and that's it. You know, we do. So I concealed carry.
Jason, what part of California do you live? I live in Hemet.
I live in the Central Valley.
Oh wow, farther.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's and it's you know, the part where I live is still pretty normal. We haven't really been grafted into. Our community still isn't as left wing and crazy as some of the other parts of California, but it's getting that way. So we're moving. We're moving out. We're getting out of here. We just can't take it anymore.
Where are you going to move to?
Yeah.
You know, you can't go to Oregon. You can't go to Washington. You know,
Idaho's
because
good.
they're trying to outdo California.
Idaho's
taxes.
good.
Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Montana.
Yeah.
Arizona's too hot for me. Can't take it.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. But yeah, Idaho has it's a lot of conservatives here, but the liberals are moving in. But it's unfortunate. But you know, I don't know it's our new. I think our news media is largely to blame. It's been taken over, and they're not balanced. They're not fair. They're not objective. They're very biased. It's left leaning, and I think it's had a very profound and negative effect on the world, on the United States. That's my opinion.
Well, they can't even. They don't even know which bathroom people should use.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, everything's insane. It's ridiculous. But you know what? That's what it is.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what we got to do is fight.
Are you being broadcast over on on ABN or?
No, I'm not on ABN anymore. I hardly go on there anymore. I was there frequently, but not so much anymore. I don't know why. Just stuff. I think they're finding out more and more what I say about Catholicism. They don't want me on there. I think people have complained because they believe Catholics are good. Catholicism is okay, and I've never tackled them on it. But you know,
What's ABN?
Aramaic Broadcasting Network. They present it from Islam, and it's very good. It's good. So, good group. Yeah. So I've been out there a few times, had some debates there and things like that. So, good people. Anybody else got any questions or comments before we take off in 5? Been a long day.
I don't.
No?
No. Anybody else?
I guess not, huh?
Check the YouTube, I guess.
Well, let's see. Get all these windows open. I gotta get over there and find it. All right. Oh, there it is, right there. Okay. David Wood, Sam Shimon said they aren't on ABN anymore either, I think. Yeah, but for different reasons. But yeah, that's okay.
I'll work on coming up with some questions for next week.
Well, good. Appreciate that. Yeah, sorry about today. I mean, forgot to do the private thing, unlisted thing, but you know, it's all right. And well, you know, we'll just do it next week, and I'll be more rested. Oh, man, one of those days, you know. Oh, your computer died, Jason? Okay. Pray for my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, now she, instead of 2 broken vertebrae, now she has 4.
Oh.
And your osteoporosis is so bad that the doc says he's never seen anybody with it as bad, ever. So that's what it is. Anyway, she also has stupid as husbandess. That's bad. And also annoying as husbandess. That's also pretty bad. So, but that's what it is. So anyway, okay, we done? You guys about ready?
I think so. Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Next week, same time. All right. Hopefully everything will work fine.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay.
God
We'll
bless
see.
you.
God bless. Okay.